He was supposed to save Spain, but he destroyed it with lust, greed, and fear. Fat, disfigured, and trembling with gout, Ferdinand VII once ruled the greatest empire on earth. Behind velvet curtains, he feasted on underage girls, obscene art, and humiliation games, while his people starved. While revolutionaries fought for freedom, their king groped courtiers and laughed at pain. This isn't just a story about a bad ruler. This is the grotesque fall of a man who turned a nation into his playground and his body into a weapon of power. If stories like this haunt and fascinate you, don't forget to like this video, share it with someone who loves history's darkest corners, and subscribe to explore more forgotten tyrants and twisted empires. Born in 1784 to King Charles IV and Queen Maria Luisa, Ferdinand grew up surrounded by luxury and treachery. His mother allegedly had an affair with the royal favorite, Godoy, a man many believed wielded more power than the king himself. Young Ferdinand watched and learned. Loyalty was dangerous, and love meant nothing. As Spain crumbled under French pressure, Ferdinand staged a quiet coup. He had his father deposed in 1808 during the Mutiny of Aranjuez, earning thunderous applause from the Spanish people. But behind the cheers, Ferdinand hid a coward's heart. Instead of ruling, he turned to Napoleon for help. That decision was fatal. Napoleon lured him to France, forced him to abdicate, and placed Joseph Bonaparte on the Spanish throne. Spain erupted into war, and Ferdinand sat idle in a French chateau for 5 years, pampered and passive. To the people, he was still el deseado, the desired one. But the man they longed for would return as a tyrant in silk stockings and disease. In 1813, after Napoleon's defeat, Ferdinand VII returned to Spain as a symbol of hope. Guerrilla fighters had bled for years to resist French occupation, all under the banner of restoring him. They'd even written a new liberal constitution, the Constitution of 1812, granting rights and limiting royal power. Ferdinand promised to honor it, swore it publicly, then he tore it apart. Within weeks, he abolished the Constitution, imprisoned liberal leaders, and restored absolute monarchy. He reversed every reform made in his name. The man who had been the desired one became the disappointment of the century. Worse still, he re-established the Inquisition, ramped up censorship, and ordered executions for speaking against the crown. Even former allies were cast into dungeons. He ruled not by vision, but by fear, not with brilliance, but cruelty. Spain had survived Napoleon, but it would not survive Ferdinand's betrayal. And while his kingdom collapsed, Ferdinand's obsessions drifted elsewhere, to the bedroom, the brothel, and the body. As Ferdinand aged, his body deteriorated, but his hunger for control never did. Years of indulgence left him swollen with illness. Gout, obesity, and chronic pain reduced him to a figure barely able to walk. His physicians drained fluid from his limbs and wrapped his legs just to keep him upright. And yet, within the walls of his palace, he lived like a king of fantasy, not in heroism, but in hedonism. He surrounded himself with an ever-changing circle of much younger companions, often selected more for obedience than for companionship. Palace aides whispered that Ferdinand's private life was dominated by indulgence, excess, and a need to control everyone close to him. He married 4 times. His 4th wife, Maria Cristina of the 2 Sicilies, was just 23 when they wed. Ferdinand was nearly twice her age and in visible decline. Court rumors described their union as more political duty than romance. Behind heavy doors, the monarch had become a man consumed by impulse, clinging to pleasure as the kingdom around him fell into ruin. Spain had given him everything, and he repaid it with decadence. While Ferdinand indulged behind palace walls, the Spanish Empire was bleeding to death. Across the Atlantic, colonies in Latin America, Mexico, Argentina, Chile, Colombia, and more were rising up demanding freedom. Inspired by revolutionary ideas and furious at Spain's tyranny, they fought for independence. Ferdinand, obsessed with maintaining absolute control, refused to compromise. Instead of offering reform or negotiation, He sent underfunded armies and untrained generals to crush the revolts. One by one, the colonies declared independence. And one by one, they won. By the time Ferdinand realized the full scale of the crisis, it was too late. Spain had lost nearly all of its overseas empire. It was one of the greatest collapses of imperial power in modern history, and it happened under his watch. But Ferdinand didn't blame himself. He blamed liberals, foreigners, even the Enlightenment. Anyone but the king. He doubled down on censorship, purged universities, and silenced dissent. Spain wasn't just shrinking, it was rotting from within, and while the world moved forward, Ferdinand dragged his kingdom deeper into the shadows. By 1820, even the army had enough. A revolt led by Colonel Rafael del Riego forced Ferdinand to accept the very constitution he once destroyed, the Constitution of 1812. For 3 years, Spain tasted a fragile hope. Limited monarchy, civil rights, and political debate. But Ferdinand was only biding his time. In 1823, with help from France's 100,000 Sons of St. Louis, he was restored as an absolute monarch. The liberals were crushed, Riego was executed, and Ferdinand returned to power more paranoid, more vengeful, and more dangerous than ever. He unleashed a wave of repression. Books were burned, professors jailed, and secret police hunted critics in the streets. Even whispers of disagreement could lead to arrest. Spaniards called it the ominous decade. No reforms, no future, just fear. Ferdinand had turned from symbol of national hope into a monarch of surveillance, silence, and suspicion. His court was filled with spies, his prisons with poets and patriots. And as his body withered further, so too did the soul of his kingdom. Spain had survived Napoleon, but it would not escape Ferdinand's shadow. By the early 1830s, Ferdinand VII was a shell of a man, disfigured by disease, carried from room to room, and rarely seen in public. Yet even in decline, he clung to control. His final act was not of redemption, but of chaos. He issued the Pragmatic Sanction of 1830, naming his infant daughter, Isabella II, as heir. This decision enraged his brother, Don Carlos, who believed the crown was rightfully his. When Ferdinand died in 1833, he left behind not peace, but a kingdom on the edge of civil war. His death sparked the Carlist Wars, a bloody conflict that would tear Spain apart for generations. Even in death, Ferdinand sowed division. His reign had cost Spain its empire, its liberty, and its future. He betrayed the people who fought for him, rejected the world's progress, and ruled not as a king, but as a man driven by paranoia, indulgence, and fear. Where there might have been a legacy, he left a wound, and history would remember him not as the desired one, but as the king who broke a nation. If this story haunted you, share it. Comment your thoughts below. Was Ferdinand evil, tragic, or both? And don't forget to like and subscribe for more rulers who ruled from the shadows. Thank you, and see you in the next episode of Dark Lore.